Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart. Happy Sunday afternoon, or whenever you do decide to watch this video. Today we are talking about how all of a sudden, people are freaking out about Mario Kart World again. Why is this happening? Well, there's a few different things going on, which is what we're going to get into today. So, the first thing in terms of people freaking out about Mario Kart World, and to be honest with you, I think it's completely unwarranted, but I understand why some people are falling for this. You're going to be seeing headlines that Mario Kart 8 is selling better than Mario Kart World now, and so some people, are going to jump to the conclusion or use this as an opportunity to dunk on Mario Kart World and Nintendo and the Switch 2 and try to argue or spin this as meaning that Mario Kart World is not a good game, that the Switch 2 is going to fail, and all that jazz. And the fact of the matter is, these headlines are actually pretty misleading. So the information's coming from recent Circana data, right? So what we've heard is that in the United States, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the most recent month that has passed, between the dates of July 6, 2025 through August 2nd, 2025, as you see here on the sales charts, Mario Kart 8 is the 4th best-selling game of the month, while Mario Kart World is only the 6th best-selling game of the month. But here's something really important to keep in mind here. There is an asterisk. This asterisk is saying that digital sales are not included for marked titles. And so yeah, this also counts for Mario Kart 8, but it's a very different beast when it comes to Mario Kart World. Listen, let's actually take a look at what Nintendo's reported worldwide sales. Now, we don't have data from July yet, right? But as of June 30th, 2025, so not even the first month of Switch 2, Mario Kart World had already sold 5.63 million copies. And in case you didn't know, the Switch 2 itself has just sold 5.82 million copies. So basically, almost every single person that has bought a Nintendo Switch 2 has also bought Mario Kart World, at least as of June 30th, 2025. And sure, as time goes on, there's going to be more people who have bought a Switch 2 who will not opt to buy Mario Kart World. That's how it goes. But this level of attach rate is absolutely insane. But also look at the total amount of software sold. 8.67 million copies. About 2/3 of all games sold on Switch 2 in that first month were just for Mario Kart World. To argue that Mario Kart World is selling poorly in any way, shape, or form doesn't make any sense. Now, what some people might say is that, yeah, but this is showing data from the most recent month of July, which is showing that Mario Kart 8 has now overtaken Mario Kart World sales. But again, it does not include digital sales. So the thing is, the popular bundle for Switch 2 is the bundle that includes the digital copy of Mario Kart World. In the United States, which is what this data is based off of for July, in June it was reported that of these two Switch 2 bundles, the one that included Mario Kart World digitally, it outsold the base version by a 7-to-1 ratio. In other words, digital sales are far more potent and significant for Mario Kart World because of the bundle. You're saving money this way. The console's expensive, the game's expensive. These are trying economic times. If people are going to invest in a Switch 2, odds are they're going to pick the one that is going to save them money, that is the better deal. And so in other words, when we look at sales data like this that doesn't even include digital sales for Mario Kart World, it's pretty much almost entirely insignificant data because it's not showing the bulk of Mario Kart World sales. That said, it is interesting that Mario Kart 8 is still selling well, and that just goes to show that Nintendo Switch 1 is still a strong seller. It's reason for Nintendo to support the platform over these next couple years as they transition over to Switch 2 and get more and more people to buy the console. And by the way, this recent Circana data has also reported that Switch 2 is 75% ahead of unit sales pace set by Switch 1 in the United States. In other words, for the first couple months that Switch 1 was out versus how the first couple months of Switch 2 is ahead by a significant margin. It's already the best-selling console of the year, having only been out for a smaller window of time than the other platforms out there. Like, there actually isn't any negative news out there about Switch 2 or Mario Kart World, but you're going to see people freaking out, trying to spin this into some sort of negative thing, either A, because they don't read, they don't have an attention to detail, or they don't care for these things because they rather just benefit from the negative headline and gain some sort of clout, because unfortunately in this world, negativity brings a lot more attention. But you know, there are also positive reasons to be freaking out or getting excited about Mario Kart World again. With this conversation of Mario Kart World versus Mario Kart 8, a lot of people say Mario Kart 8 is such a better game. And while I enjoyed Mario Kart 8, I think Mario Kart 8 is a fantastic game, and definitely it's one of the best Mario Kart games that has ever come out. I think Mario Kart World still has the opportunity to go down as an even better game. You look at the full package of Mario Kart 8 right now, and you might say, there's no way, Mario Kart 8 is a better package than Mario Kart World, but let's keep in mind, Mario Kart 8 came out in 2014. It had DLC waves on Wii U. Then they enhanced it and added more content for its Mario Kart 8 Deluxe version on Nintendo Switch in 2017. There were free updates throughout the generation, and then they had the Booster Course Pass where they doubled the amount of tracks in the game. For many years, Mario Kart 8 was continually iterated upon, and so much content was thrown into that. Mario Kart World has just come out. I think what's actually a fair comparison is to compare the base game of Mario Kart 8 back in 2014 versus the base game of Mario Kart World. And I think when you do those comparisons, it's quite clear that Mario Kart World is a far richer, more densely packed, significant game with a lot more to enjoy. As it should. These are more modern times. The expectation for the size and scope of games has expanded. What's really going to be interesting is to see how Mario Kart World evolves over the generation of Switch 2, and if it will continue to evolve favorably, and people will continue to enjoy the game and get more out of it, similar to how things happened for Mario Kart 8. And I'm actually optimistic that Nintendo might do a better job of that this time around, because they were sort of figuring it out with Mario Kart 8. They now have a better understanding of how to do continued updates, DLC, things of that nature. So there might be a bit more planning involved this time around, and that can lead to a whole bunch of things. And we've already talked about how there's this expectation that we're probably going to get some sort of Donkey Kong expansion to Mario Kart World relatively soon, because Donkey Kong and Pauline only have one alternate costume, yet all the other characters have several. That's just odd. Of course, when we account for the fact that Donkey Kong Bonanza just came out that is starring these two different characters, there are a lot of other characters and things involved with that game. There are some voice actors in the credits for both games that hint at more. It seems pretty likely that they are planning some sort of significant update as a cross-promotion between Donkey Kong Bonanza and Mario Kart World. So I still think that's happening. It hasn't happened yet. I think maybe in part because they haven't wanted to spoil things in Bonanza and Mario Kart World so quickly. And we also haven't gotten that big first-party focused Nintendo Direct. We waited throughout all of the summer. We just got a partner showcase and a few other little things. But supposedly that big Direct should be happening soon. I mean, you gotta think, because Nintendo can't go that long without making announcements about their own first-party offerings, or else sales will truly start to become bad. But for now, they're good, and I'm sure in a couple weeks we will have that Direct, as it has been reported by like 5 different sources already. And perhaps there we will learn about some DLC expansions to Mario Kart World. But Nintendo has been updating Mario Kart World. I don't think I made a dedicated video about this particular subject, but people were freaking out about Mario Kart World about a month or so ago, because there was this update to Mario Kart World where you would pick random matches and you could no longer find the lap type courses as often, and a lot of people were picking random in the online wireless mode because that's what they wanted in the Grand Prix. Mario Kart World has a lot of the intermission tracks, and while that is a new thing, there are many people who are purists or just prefer the lap type courses or want variety. I personally want variety. I like the intermission tracks, I like Knockout Tour, but I also still like the lap type courses as well, the complete circuits. So I think all those should be options, and Nintendo actually did provide an update where they did adjust the frequency of lap type courses showing up. And I just played online, you'll see it throughout the gameplay of this video, I did get a lot more lap type courses. Now I'll also note, it took me longer to jump online today for Mario Kart World and play Grand Prix than it did for Knockout Tour, and also there wasn't a full 24 count amount of people playing on a Sunday where, you know, people are off, right? Like maybe if I were playing during the week, in the middle of a business day, perhaps not as many people would be available, but during the weekend, I'm not getting a full count of people playing. I do think maybe there is some issues there, right? The popularity of Mario Kart World may have waned somewhat in terms of the Grand Prix mode, because Knockout Tour, you can still jump in quickly, and you get the full 24, and, well, I mean, I've enjoyed it. I do think Knockout Tour is the big win, the big new feature of Mario Kart World that is getting a lot of people excited. It's appealing to that larger, broader audience. And so I would like to see some updates to the overall game to get more people involved with the Grand Prix mode. Maybe they can do something to mix it up a little bit. I have some ideas. I actually think it might be kind of a smart thing to involve maybe some more events that tie into the open world and mix things up, like create more variety, but also give us more options, right? Like maybe just give us a dedicated lap type circuit mode, give us a intermission mode, and perhaps also give us more knockout tours. There are so many tracks throughout the game. They don't even have to add more tracks, they just have to give us more alterations of the tracks that are already there to give us more things we can do. Of course, I still think they will eventually add more actual places to race on, but in the meanwhile, there's a lot of free updates they could do that could really improve upon the overall game. And I actually do think that this is probably planned, and it may be by design that there aren't as many options at first, because there could be waiting on more people to pick up the game. Once there are more people who have picked up the game, there will be a more active player base where they can afford to have a dedicated lap type mode and an intermission mode. And so in those modes, they will be more filled up once there are more people who own a Switch 2 and are playing Mario Kart World. But something else interesting that has popped up recently, and I touched on this in my bigger news video talking about a whole bunch of things the other day, but DocTray81 had discovered that this porting studio had said some things about a variety of games, and there was something they said about Mario Kart World that was very peculiar. They talked about Mario Kart World in this article they put out back in June, and it was weird for a lot of reasons. Like here it says expected release date June 5th, but the article came out June 19th, and they mentioned some interesting things in terms of features it might have, like Dolby Atmos integration, which to my understanding Switch 2 does not have, and cross-platform play with Mario Kart Tour, which is also not a thing, at least as of now, and there's also no VR spectator modes with a Switch 2 headset. So Switch 2 doesn't currently have VR options, there isn't cross-platform play. Why is this studio who has Switch 2 dev kits, who ports games, like a legitimate studio, a legitimate site here, why are they saying these things about Mario Kart World? Is it just like a weird error or mistake? Is this like a wish list that's being accidentally portrayed as like some things the game will have? It's odd. It's possible though, it could be a hint towards updates in the future, and they may have perhaps leaked some of this stuff. Like maybe they do want to eventually add cross-platform play to Mario Kart Tour. I don't know how that would work because the tracks are completely different. Maybe this would just be a canned idea, and so it's never actually going to happen. And maybe there is a VR headset planned for Switch 2, and when Nintendo finally announces this, they will announce some VR updates to Mario Kart World, which makes sense actually, because when Nintendo had Labo VR, they had updates to some other big games that allowed for Labo VR compatibility. And of course, Mario Kart World would be a strong candidate to get some free updates to allow for VR compatibility if Nintendo's going to push that on Switch 2 at some point down the road. It's hard to say if these things are actually going to happen for sure because they're very strange, but the overall point I'm trying to get at here is that Mario Kart World is still just getting started. Updates are coming. The game is going to continue to sell as more and more Switch 2s get out there, and the game is going to have more content, more updates, and become a bigger and better game. Not to say that the game isn't a full, complete, enjoyable game as is. It absolutely is. Mario Kart World is a fantastic game, and I personally don't really agree with the sentiment that this game is a flop or that it's a letdown. No, this game is dense. I've been playing and enjoying it, and there's still much to do. Is there room for improvement? There always is. And I expect those improvements to steadily come throughout the Switch 2 era. But what do you all think? Let me know in the comments below. This is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I will see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.